Zurich, Switzerland, on a tranquil autumn evening, golden lights from the cobblestone streets reflected on the shimmering Limit River like strands of pearls. The city was a perfect picture where modernity and old-world charm blended seamlessly. Against the majestic backdrop of the Alps, the Grand Zurich Hotel sparkled brilliantly, a diamond amidst the city's heart. On the hotel's rooftop, the luxurious bar served as a gathering spot for accomplished business people and sophisticated tourists. The atmosphere was enchanting, with the glow of lights reflecting off crystal glasses, the smooth hum of jazz music, and murmured conversations mingling with the sound of popping champagne corks. Aisha Bennett, 30, sat at the bar with a light fruit cocktail. Her dark green dress, simple yet elegant, highlighted her smooth brown skin. A long day at a medical conference had left her tired but fulfilled. As a dedicated pediatrician, Aisha poured her heart into her work. Zurich was not just a professional opportunity, but also a chance to escape the pressures of her daily routine and savor some much-needed time for herself. Not far away, Dominic Thorne, 35, sipped on a glass of scotch. His sharp features, neatly combed black hair, and piercing eyes exuding authority made him stand out even in the lively atmosphere. As the CEO of a multinational corporation, Dominic was in Zurich to negotiate a billion-dollar deal. Yet after a grueling day of meetings, he sought a moment of relaxation. Chapter 1. A Meeting at the Bar. Aisha smiled lightly as the bartender handed her a second cocktail. She was about to enjoy it in peace when she felt someone's gaze on her. Looking up, she locked eyes with Dominic from across the bar. His gaze was both intense and warm, as though he could see straight into her soul. "Enjoying your evening alone?" Dominic spoke, his deep British accent catching Aisha off guard. "Just savoring a bit of peace after a long day," she replied, a faint smile playing on her lips. Dominic approached, scotch in hand. "Peace is a rare thing here." Dominic Thorne. "Aisha Bennett," she responded, shaking his hand and noting the warmth and confidence in his firm grip. Their conversation began with small talk, compliments about the fine drinks and Zurich's beautiful ambiance, but it wasn't long before they delved into deeper topics. Aisha spoke about her work in New York, her long days caring for pediatric patients. Dominic opened up about the pressures of running a corporation, tense negotiations, and the weight of responsibility he carried. Soft laughter echoed between them as they found common ground in their stories. Aisha, with her wit and sharp intellect, made Dominic feel more at ease than anyone else had in a long time. Meanwhile, Aisha, usually reserved, was drawn to the sincerity and depth behind Dominic's composed exterior. As the bar lights dimmed to let the moonlight filter through the glass windows, Dominic leaned closer and whispered, "If I told you tonight feels special, would you let me invite you upstairs to my penthouse to enjoy Zurich's view from above?" Aisha glanced up, her eyes betraying a mix of hesitation and intrigue. "I don't usually do this," she admitted, her lips pressed together as though weighing the decision to break her rules. "Then let's make an exception. Just this once." Dominic smiled gently, his gaze filled with genuine warmth. Drawn in by his charm and tenderness, Aisha nodded. For tonight, she chose to let her heart lead over her head. They left the bar and stepped into the elevator to the top floor. Zurich at night unfolded like a vivid painting, but neither knew this evening would not just be a fleeting memory, it would alter their lives forever. Welcome to today's story. Let us know in the comments which city you're listening from. You might find someone from the same place tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Chapter 2. Unexpected News. 2 months after that fateful night in Zurich, Aisha returned to her usual routine in New York. The hospital where she worked, one of the city's leading medical centers, engulfed her in its familiar, bustling rhythm. She spent her long days caring for young patients, contributing to research, and staying updated on the latest treatments. However, in recent weeks, Aisha began to notice something unusual. Sudden bouts of nausea, persistent fatigue, and unpredictable mood swings worried her. As a doctor, she couldn't ignore the signs. One afternoon after work, she decided to check for herself. The 2 bold red lines on the pregnancy test left Aisha frozen in place. At first, she couldn't believe it. "This can't be," she murmured, her hands trembling as she held the test. Yet the unmistakable symptoms and the confirmation before her were undeniable. As a doctor, she understood exactly what this meant, but as a woman, she felt as though her entire world had been turned upside down. The next day, Aisha scheduled an appointment with her colleague and close friend, Dr. Monica Ramirez, an obstetrics specialist. Monica reviewed the blood test results, her expression a mix of surprise and delight. "Congratulations, Aisha. You're definitely pregnant," Monica confirmed, her eyes sparkling with joy. But when Aisha lay on the exam table for an ultrasound, Monica suddenly paused. Her brows furrowed as she studied the screen intently, moving the probe slightly. "What is it? Is something wrong?" Aisha's heart raced with anxiety. Monica turned to her with a smile tinged with astonishment. "Nothing's wrong, but Aisha, you're not carrying just one baby. You're carrying three." "Three?" Aisha gasped, her eyes wide as she stared at the ultrasound screen. There, clearly visible, were three distinct sacs, each holding a tiny developing life. "Yes," Monica confirmed. "Triplets and each in their own sac. A best-case scenario for multiples, but there are still significant risks." Hearing this, Aisha felt a storm of emotions. As a doctor, she understood all too well the challenges that lay ahead. Carrying triplets was far from typical, and the risks, preterm labor, preeclampsia, and other complications, were daunting realities she couldn't ignore. That night, Aisha lay in bed, the glow of New York City lights filtering through her window and casting long shadows on the walls. Her thoughts were consumed by the news. She thought of Dominic, remembering his warm gaze and confident smile from that night in Zurich. Yet after that night, they hadn't exchanged contact information. She didn't even know where he was now. Dominic was a cherished memory she had held on to, never imagining that memory would lead to such a monumental and real outcome. "Single motherhood," she whispered to herself. The thought scared her, yet it also filled her heart with determination. Aisha knew she couldn't shy away from this. The tiny lives forming within her were a miracle, a gift she was determined to protect at all costs. "Three babies," she murmured, placing her hand over her stomach, where three tiny hearts beat. "I'll do everything to care for you." Even without Dominic by her side, Aisha resolved not to let his absence deter her. She began planning, adjusting her diet, reorganizing her work schedule, and preparing for the incredible journey of motherhood ahead. From that moment, she knew her life would never be the same, not just because of the new lives growing within her, but because of her unwavering determination to overcome every challenge and provide her children with the best future possible. Chapter 3: Dominic searches for Aisha. Returning to London after his trip to Zurich, Dominic Thorne threw himself into work, hoping to erase memories of Aisha Bennett. But nothing could keep her image from resurfacing. He remembered her deep, soulful eyes, her genuine smile, and the sweet moments they had shared on that fateful night. Amid intense meetings, Dominic often found his mind wandering back to her. Whenever he gazed out of his office window at the sprawling city lights, he wondered where she was, what she was doing, and whether she thought of him as he thought of her. Determined to find Aisha, Dominic began his search. He contacted the manager of the Grand Zurich Hotel, but all information was strictly confidential. Attempts to trace her through his business connections yielded no results. "She's a doctor," he reminded himself. "How do you find someone in this vast world with so few clues?" Yet Dominic refused to give up. He knew he had to do this, not only to resolve his feelings, but also because he sensed that night between them was something extraordinary, an undeniable connection. One day during a meeting about an international healthcare collaboration, Dominic found himself conversing with Klaus Müller, the organizer of the Zurich conference. After exchanging pleasantries, Dominic casually asked, "Do you happen to know a doctor named Aisha Bennett? She was one of the attendees at your conference." Klaus paused, thinking. "Aisha Bennett? Ah, yes, I remember her. She's an American pediatrician. If I recall correctly, she works at a major hospital in New York. Very talented, one of the standout speakers at the conference." Hearing this, Dominic felt his heart race. "New York," he repeated, feeling as though he had found a guiding light. As soon as he returned to his office, Dominic began planning a trip to the U.S. He delegated his key responsibilities to his trusted executives, and contacted his team to arrange a meeting with the director of the hospital where Aisha worked. I just need to know she's all right, Dominic told himself. Though unsure how Aisha would react to seeing him again, he knew he couldn't live with unanswered questions. Dominic resolved that, no matter the outcome, he would go to New York to find her and finally say the things he hadn't had the chance to say that night. The flight from London to New York lasted over 6 hours, but for Dominic, every minute felt like an eternity. Sitting in first class, he tried to imagine the upcoming encounter. Would Aisha be happy to see him, or had she already forgotten him? Regardless of the answer, Dominic knew he had to face the truth. He couldn't continue living with regret and assumptions. As the plane landed at JFK Airport, Dominic felt a mix of nerves and determination. Looking out at New York's skyline, its glittering lights seemed to herald a new chapter in his life. "Wait for me, Aisha," he whispered. "I will find you." Chapter 4. Facing the Truth. St. Mary's Hospital in New York, where Aisha Bennett worked, was one of the city's premier medical centers. Dominic Thorne walked through its bustling hallways with his heart pounding. While he had arranged a formal meeting with the hospital director, his real goal was to find Aisha. As he entered the pediatric department, Dominic felt the warmth and energy radiating from the dedicated doctors and nurses. His sharp eyes quickly spotted Aisha, standing with a group of colleagues, medical chart in hand, speaking in a professional tone. She hadn't changed much, the same confidence and natural beauty, but one detail caught his attention and held it. Her noticeably rounded belly, unmistakably signaling something he had never anticipated. Aisha turned and her gaze locked with Dominic's. For a moment, all the surrounding noise seemed to vanish. She froze, her breath hitching as she recognized the man who had left such an indelible mark on her life. "Dominic," she said, her voice a mix of shock and emotion. "What are you doing here?" "I came to find you," he replied directly, his eyes shifting to her belly. "We need to talk." They stepped into a private staff lounge. The room was small, but it offered the privacy they needed for this confrontation. Dominic spoke first, his voice steady but laden with emotion. "You don't need to say anything. I can see it. You're pregnant, aren't you? And I'm the father?" Aisha looked at him, her eyes shimmering with a mix of anger and uncertainty. "Yes," she admitted. "I found out after I returned to New York, and since we didn't exchange contact information, I had no way to tell you." "Triplets," she added quietly, her voice almost a whisper. "I'm carrying triplets." Dominic took a step back, as though the information was too much to process at once. His eyes were wide with shock, but there was no denial. "3?" he repeated, trying to steady himself. "Aisha, why didn't you try to find me? I deserve to know." "Do you think I didn't want to?" she countered, her voice cracking with emotion. "I thought about looking for you, but in the end I decided I didn't want to disrupt your life. I believed I could handle this on my own." Dominic sighed, his expression softening. "Aisha, do you really think I would turn my back on you? What we shared in Zurich was special, and now you're carrying my children. How could I not care?" Aisha shook her head, her voice trembling. "You don't understand. I've worked so hard to build a stable life. I didn't want your presence to complicate things, not just for me, but for our children." Dominic stepped closer, his eyes filled with sincerity. "I don't want to disrupt your life, Aisha, but this isn't just your responsibility. We're talking about our family. I want to be part of your life and theirs, not just as their father, but as the man who stands by your side." He sat down, his gaze unwavering. "I won't deny that I'm shocked, but I know one thing for sure. I won't let you do this alone. I want to be here, not just financially, but as an active part of our children's lives." Aisha sat in silence and her emotions conflicted. Dominic was a powerful, determined man, and the sincerity in his voice moved her deeply. But could she allow him to step into the life she had carefully built? "Are you sure about this?" Aisha asked, her voice shaky. "Your life is already so busy, and these children, they won't be easy." Dominic placed his hand on the table, his gaze resolute. "I've never been more certain of anything in my life. Aisha, let me prove it to you." The conversation ended with both realizing they needed time to understand each other and devise a plan. Dominic proposed staying in New York to support Aisha and to begin building a connection with the children soon to be born. As they stepped out of the room, Aisha felt a mixture of relief and anxiety. Dominic's reappearance was unexpected, but her heart whispered that perhaps it was exactly what she needed. As for Dominic, he had made a clear decision. There would be no turning back. The children Aisha carried were a miracle, and he would do everything in his power to protect this family. Are you still following the story? Share your thoughts on the journey so far in the comments below. Chapter 5. The First Challenges. After their emotional conversation at the hospital, Dominic wasted no time proving his commitment to Aisha. He rented a luxurious apartment in New York's Upper West Side, just a few blocks from St. Mary's Hospital, where Aisha worked. The spacious home featured 3 bedrooms, state-of-the-art amenities, and a serene atmosphere perfect for Aisha to rest. Dominic also enlisted a team of top obstetricians and nutritionists to monitor Aisha's health and the development of the babies. He hired a private nurse to assist her, especially in the later stages of pregnancy when mobility would become increasingly difficult. "You don't have to do all of this," Aisha said as she walked into the new apartment, her eyes wide with surprise. Dominic smiled gently and replied, "I want to do this, not just for you, but for our children. We're a family, Aisha, and I won't let you do this alone." Carrying triplets was no easy feat, and Aisha quickly began to feel the toll on her body. Mornings were often plagued with persistent nausea, which sometimes left her exhausted for the rest of the day. Each ultrasound appointment brought a mix of anticipation and anxiety as she worried about the baby's development. Dominic never missed an appointment. He sat beside Aisha, listening attentively to every word the doctor said. When the ultrasound monitor displayed the images of their 3 growing babies, his face lit up with joy. "Look," Dominic whispered, pointing at the screen. "This one looks just like you, strong and determined." Aisha chuckled, her heart softening at his genuine excitement and care. As time passed, Dominic and Aisha began to build trust. Dominic, a powerful businessman accustomed to giving orders and maintaining control, took the time to learn how to support and care for the woman he cared for deeply. He researched pregnancy tips, from back pain relief massages to cooking nutritious meals for expectant mothers. One evening, as Dominic carefully adjusted a special pillow under Aisha's back to make her more comfortable, she smiled and said, "You're really serious about this, aren't you?" "I've never been more serious," Dominic replied, his eyes filled with determination. "Aisha, I don't just want to be a good father. I want to be someone you can trust and rely on." The challenges of the pregnancy brought Dominic and Aisha closer. Dominic began to see Aisha as a strong yet vulnerable woman who needed protection as much as she needed partnership. In turn, Aisha saw Dominic as more than just a powerful businessman. He was a man willing to set aside everything to protect what he loved most. When Dominic patiently listened to her worries, Aisha felt the walls she had built around her heart slowly crumble. She began to believe that he wasn't just a good father in the making, but also a partner she could depend on. "You know," Dominic said one evening as they brainstormed names for the babies, "my life used to revolve around deals and goals. But ever since I met you and learned about the babies, everything has changed. Family is what truly matters." Aisha looked at Dominic, her eyes sparkling with emotion. "I'm learning to trust too. We'll get through this together, won't we?" "We will," Dominic said firmly, taking her hand. His voice carried the weight of his commitment. Though they knew more challenges lay ahead, Dominic and Aisha had established a vital foundation: trust and partnership. They realized that this journey was not just about the triplets, but about building a true family where love and support would always prevail. Chapter 6. Storms from the Outside. On a quiet winter morning, the soft light of New York City filtered into the luxurious apartment where Aisha was resting. Dominic had just left for an important meeting when her phone rang. "Aisha, you need to turn on the news," came the anxious voice of Jasmine, Aisha's close colleague. Frowning, Aisha switched on the TV. Almost immediately, an image of her leaving the hospital with her visibly pregnant belly appeared on the screen. A female anchor's voice narrated, "Breaking news. Dominic Thorne, renowned British businessman, is rumored to be the father of the triplets carried by the talented Dr. Aisha Bennett. Could this be the reason behind delays in his major business deals?" A chill ran down Aisha's spine. For the first time, she and her children had been thrust into the harsh spotlight without any warning or preparation. Dominic immediately knew who was behind the leak. Raphael Moreau, his longtime business rival. Raphael, who had suffered a major defeat in a previous billion-dollar deal against Dominic, had been harboring a grudge and was always seeking revenge. Raphael not only hired investigative journalists to dig into Dominic's private life, but also exaggerated the story, painting Dominic as an irresponsible man who abandoned his pregnant partner. Thorne Industries seems directionless under Dominic Thorne's leadership. Could the revelation of a secret family impact billion-dollar deals? Read another sensational headline circulating on social media. Aisha wasn't just facing prying eyes. She also endured judgmental comments. At the hospital, colleagues whispered behind her back, and some patients even requested to be reassigned to other doctors, claiming she was no longer focused enough to provide proper care. "Are you okay?" Dominic asked as he returned to the apartment, his face etched with concern. "No," Aisha admitted, her voice trembling. "They're turning our children into a scandal. I can't stand seeing their future tarnished like this." Dominic took her hands firmly in his. "I promise I'll fix this. No one will hurt you or our children." Dominic convened an emergency meeting with his public relations team. "We won't hide from this. We'll take control of the narrative," he declared with his signature authority. At the same time, Dominic hired a legal team to file lawsuits against the journalists and media outlets that had invaded Aisha's privacy. He also released a heartfelt statement on his company's official website. "I am immensely proud of my family and the strong woman who has given me this priceless gift. Aisha Bennett is a dedicated doctor, an incredible mother, and I will not tolerate any harm coming her way from baseless rumors." The statement immediately drew public attention. Criticism turned to support as many admired Dominic's openness and responsibility. Despite Dominic's best efforts, Raphael didn't relent. He fueled further rumors, accusing Dominic of using healthcare projects to mask his personal issues. Dominic discussed the next steps with Aisha. "I need you to stand with me at a press conference. We'll tell the truth and stop Raphael from controlling this narrative." Aisha hesitated. "But I don't want to stand in front of the media. I just want to live quietly and protect our children." Dominic placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, his gaze unwavering. "I know this is hard, but if we don't stand up, they'll keep pushing. You're not alone. We'll do this together." At a grand hotel in Manhattan, Dominic and Aisha appeared before hundreds of reporters. Aisha wore an elegant green dress that highlighted her pregnancy but exuded confidence. "This story is not a scandal," Dominic began. "It's about my family, the most precious part of my life. I'm proud of Aisha and our 3 children." Aisha followed, her voice calm yet resolute. "I'm a doctor and a mother. I won't let rumors affect my work or my family. My priority is giving my children the best life possible." The press conference ended with a wave of public support. Images of Dominic and Aisha standing hand in hand became a symbol of love and unity in the face of adversity. As they left the press conference, Aisha looked at Dominic and said, "Thank you for always being by my side." Dominic smiled and squeezed her hand. "We're a team, Aisha, and nothing can break this team." Chapter 7, A Miraculous Birth. On a cloudy morning in New York, during the 34th week of her pregnancy, the city's gray skies hinted at an impending rainstorm. Aisha had been feeling unwell. The back pain and mild contractions that had started the previous night seemed manageable at first, and she dismissed them as normal symptoms of late pregnancy. However, as Dominic prepared to leave for an important meeting, Aisha suddenly clutched her stomach, her face pale with pain from a sudden sharp contraction. "We need to get to the hospital now," Dominic said, his voice filled with concern but steady with resolve. He scooped her up and placed her gently into the car, dialing Dr. Catherine Chen, her obstetrician, as he sped toward the hospital. At St. Mary's Hospital, Dr. Chen examined Aisha with a calm yet focused demeanor. After a thorough evaluation, she made her decision quickly. "Aisha, we need to perform an emergency C-section," Dr. Chen explained, her tone gentle but firm. "Your symptoms indicate preeclampsia, and we can't risk further complications for you or the babies." Aisha squeezed Dominic's hand tightly, tears streaming down her face as she nodded. I trust you. Do whatever is necessary to keep my baby safe." Dominic leaned down and kissed her forehead. "I'm here, Aisha. I'm not going anywhere." In the brightly lit operating room, Aisha was surrounded by a skilled medical team, their professionalism evident in every precise movement. Dominic, dressed in scrubs, stood by her side, holding her hand. His eyes, visible above his mask, radiated determination and reassurance. "You're doing amazing, Aisha," he whispered, his grip firm yet comforting. The procedure progressed swiftly but with an air of urgency. Each passing minute felt like an eternity. Then a small cry broke through the tension, a faint but clear sound of life. "The first baby is a boy," Dr. Chen announced, lifting a tiny, wriggling infant into the air. The boy was small but healthy, his first cries echoing in the room. Tears welled in Aisha's eyes as she saw her son for the first time. Dominic tightened his hold on her hand, his composure cracking as joy overwhelmed him. Moments later, a second cry filled the room. "It's a girl," Dr. Chen said with a smile, handing the delicate baby girl to the waiting nurses. Finally, the third baby, the youngest boy, arrived. His cries were softer, but his will to fight was evident. "All three babies are doing well," Dr. Chen announced, relief evident in her voice. "We'll take them to the NICU for monitoring, but the initial signs are very positive." Exhausted but overwhelmed with emotion, Aisha watched as each baby was briefly shown to her. Dominic, usually so composed, couldn't hold back his tears. He bent down and kissed her forehead again. "You did it," he whispered, his voice hoarse with emotion. "Thank you, Aisha. You've given me the greatest miracle of my life." Later, standing at the glass window of the NICU, Dominic gazed at his three newborn children. The firstborn boy had a head full of dark hair, just like his father. The girl was petite, with smooth, delicate features. The youngest boy, though smaller, was already gripping a nurse's finger tightly. Each child was a living testament to the love he and Aisha shared. Back in the recovery room, Dominic stayed by Aisha's side. Holding her hand gently, he spoke with a rare vulnerability. "I used to think work was everything, but today I realize that family is what truly matters. Thank you for bringing these angels into my life." Aisha looked into his eyes and saw a sincerity she had never seen before. "And thank you," she said softly, "for being here and for being the person I can rely on, for me and for our children." They sat hand in hand, united by the momentous journey they had just shared. Together they looked forward to the future, a life filled with the laughter and milestones of their three precious children. In that moment, they both knew they had discovered the true meaning of love and family. Chapter 8. Declaring their love. Just weeks after the birth of their triplets, Dominic and Aisha faced an unexpected shock. News broke that Dominic Thorne, the founder of a global financial empire, had fathered three children with a New York doctor. Media outlets exploded with sensational headlines: "Heir to the Thorne Empire revealed," "A secret family in New York," and "Billionaire Dominic Thorne's unexpected love story." Social media was abuzz with opinions. Some criticized Dominic for keeping his family a secret, while others were intrigued by Aisha, a humble doctor suddenly thrust into the spotlight. Adding fuel to the fire, Dominic's longtime rival, Raphael Moreau, seized the opportunity to spread false rumors, attempting to tarnish Dominic's reputation and destabilize the Thorne Corporation. In the penthouse, Dominic sat at the dining table, his brow furrowed as he read the latest articles on his tablet. Aisha, holding their youngest daughter, tried to stay calm, though worry was evident in her expression. "We can't live in the shadows forever," Dominic said, setting the tablet aside. "I don't want you or our children to be seen as a secret. You deserve to be recognized as the woman I love and the mother of my children." Aisha hesitated, her concern palpable. "Are you sure about this? Making everything public might bring even more scrutiny. The press won't leave us alone." Dominic reached for her hand, his gaze unwavering. "We'll face it together. We'll tell our story on our terms, not theirs." A week later, Dominic arranged a special press conference at a luxurious Manhattan hotel. The grand hall was filled with reporters from around the world, the air buzzing with anticipation. Dominic walked to the podium, exuding confidence in his tailored black suit. Yet his eyes betrayed a vulnerability, a mix of determination and affection. "Thank you all for being here today," he began. his deep voice resonating through the room. "I want to confirm a truth. I am the father of three incredible children, and their mother, the woman I deeply love, is Dr. Aisha Bennett." The room erupted in flashes of cameras as Aisha stepped onto the stage. She wore an elegant emerald green dress, holding their youngest son. A photo of their complete family, Dominic, Aisha, and their three children, was projected onto a large screen behind them. Dominic's voice softened as he turned to Aisha. "Aisha is not only an extraordinary doctor and an amazing mother, but also the heart of our family. Today, I want to publicly honor her and the love we share." Reporters bombarded them with questions, but Dominic remained composed, addressing concerns and misconceptions with eloquence. "We kept this private not out of shame, but to protect our children during their early months. Now I ask for respect for our family's privacy moving forward." Aisha spoke briefly, her voice steady yet warm. "I'm not someone who seeks the spotlight, but I am proud of my family and the journey we've been through together." The press conference became a turning point. Images of Dominic, confident yet genuine, and Aisha, graceful and strong, went viral. Their love story touched the hearts of many, shifting public sentiment in their favor. Articles praising Dominic's transparency and devotion began to surface. Meanwhile, Rafael Moreau's attempts to defame Dominic backfired, further solidifying public admiration for the Thorne family. That evening, back at the penthouse, Dominic cradled each of their children, kissing their tiny foreheads. "We did it," he said, his voice filled with relief as he looked at Aisha. "It wasn't just you," she replied with a soft smile, resting her head on his shoulder. "We did it together." They gazed at their sleeping babies, their hearts brimming with love and gratitude. In that moment, they knew their bond had grown stronger, fortified by trust, resilience, and a love that could weather any storm. Chapter 9. A Dream Wedding. A year after the triplets were born, Dominic and Aisha decided to celebrate their love with a wedding at a majestic villa nestled in the heart of the Alps in Switzerland. The serene winter landscape, blanketed in glistening snow, created a magical atmosphere. The villa, adorned with white roses and crystal chandeliers, exuded elegance and warmth. Friends and family from around the world gathered to witness this momentous occasion. The tranquil setting was filled with joy and love, as everyone celebrated the union of two extraordinary souls. In the bridal suite, Aisha donned a bespoke wedding gown crafted from soft white silk and intricate lace. The delicate design accentuated her graceful figure, while a long veil, adorned with snowflake motifs, cascaded gently over her shoulders. Jasmine, Aisha's best friend, adjusted the veil and beamed. "You look like a goddess," she said, her voice filled with admiration. On the other side of the villa, Dominic stood before a mirror in a sharp black tuxedo. His younger sister Zara entered, teasingly fixing his bow tie. "You've always been in control of everything, but not today, big brother. You're nervous," she joked, eliciting a rare chuckle from Dominic, though his eyes betrayed his anticipation. As the violin music began, all eyes turned to the aisle. The triplets, 2 boys and 1 girl, made their grand entrance in a flower-draped wagon. Arya, the eldest, held a small basket, scattering petals with her tiny hands as she toddled ahead. Phoenix and Leo, dressed in miniature tuxedos, sat in the wagon, their curious eyes taking in the scene. Dominic couldn't help but smile as his children captured the hearts of everyone in attendance. But when Aisha appeared at the end of the aisle, his breath caught. She walked gracefully, bathed in soft light, her radiant smile revealing the happiness in her heart. As she reached Dominic, she whispered, "I've been waiting for this day for so long." "So have I," he replied, his gaze locked on hers. In the breathtaking ceremony, Dominic and Aisha exchanged heartfelt vows. Holding her hands, Dominic spoke in a voice thick with emotion. "You are the light of my life, the one who taught me that love and family are what truly matter. I promise to always protect, cherish, and stand by you and our children forever." Aisha, tears glistening in her eyes, responded, "Dominic, you're not just an incredible father, but the man who made me believe in love again. I vow to be by your side, building a family and a future filled with hope and joy." As they exchanged rings, the audience erupted in applause. a moment of pure celebration and unity. After the ceremony, the guests moved to a grand reception hall, illuminated by sparkling chandeliers. The finest dishes, prepared by renowned chefs, were served, and a live classical band provided enchanting music. The triplets stole the spotlight, their laughter and innocent antics bringing smiles to everyone. Dominic frequently held the children, while Aisha mingled with guests, her eyes always drifting back to her family. Later, Dominic led Aisha onto the balcony overlooking the moonlit Alps. He knelt down once more, taking her hand in his. "Thank you, Aisha, for making my world complete," he said softly. "And thank you, Dominic, for loving me and our children unconditionally," she replied, her eyes shimmering in the moonlight. The evening concluded with the family gathered by the fireplace in the villa's cozy living room. Aisha rested her head on Dominic's shoulder, holding Arya, while Phoenix and Leo dozed peacefully beside their father. "We've been through so much, but it was all worth it," Aisha whispered. "I wouldn't ask for anything more," Dominic said, placing a gentle kiss on her forehead. As they gazed at their sleeping children, they felt a deep sense of fulfillment. In the glow of the firelight, their family became a symbol of love that had triumphed over all obstacles, ready to embrace a future filled with happiness and unbreakable bonds. Love and family are the most important values in life, surpassing all difficulties and challenges. Dominic and Aisha teach us that sincerity, trust, and patience can help overcome any storm. No one is perfect, but when we open our hearts, share, and protect what matters most, happiness will follow. The story reminds us that true happiness doesn't lie in career or material wealth, but in building a family founded on love and deep understanding. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Let us know your thoughts on this story in the comments below. What type of stories would you like to hear next? Don't forget to like,